On today's show, silly season is officially underway after a pair of big trades yesterday that both featured starting goalies on the move. So our question is, how does that affect the Senators' pursuit of a starting netminder?
And we continue with our 2024 NHL Draft Prospect Profiles, switching it up, only doing one prospect today, but Ross, he's arguably the best defenseman in this class.
We'll get into all that and go Sens go on today's edition of Locked On Sens.
I'm Jake Sanderson.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's concerts, sports, theaters, and your NHL draft tickets. $20 off your first purchase by using Locked On NHL at GameTime. You can also follow the show on social media. We're at Sens Central on Twitter. You can also find the show wherever you get podcasts. We are free and available on YouTube, where we say hello and let you know that a like, comment, and subscription go a long way to helping the show grow. Today is Thursday, June 20th, and Pilsy, 1 week from today, you and I will be on a flight to Sin City.
Yeah, it's we hope that the Ottawa Senators will still have their draft picks available for us, Ross. We've done too many times, well, twice. We've done full draft prep, and the Ottawa Senators have not had that pick, at least their very first round selection. So we've done the prep. We hope they get to draft at least once in the first round because, Ross, the way the trade rumors are swirling, anything could happen at this point.
Before we get into what the Senators could do, what happened yesterday to set the market? Jacob Markstrom to the New Jersey Devil, the long rumored trade. They're going to hold some of his salary as well in return. The Calgary Flames get former Ottawa 67s defenseman Kevin Ball, 23 years old, 6'6", rugged defensive style, a 5'6". He's not going to be a top four defenseman, but one piece, while the other is a 2025 top 10 protected first round pick. How does not trading 10th overall, do you think, affect the Senators' pursuit of either Linus Ullmark or any of the other names attached to the Sens? Do you think it will have an impact?
I think so a little bit, Ross, because I think that kind of sets the market a little bit. Now, obviously, Jacob Markstrom, a different goalie than Linus Ullmark. You got a 5-year age gap there. He has 2 years left on his deal rather than one. I think that's the New Jersey Devils and the league saying, look, goaltenders are not worth top 10 picks. And I feel like that's fair, especially goaltenders with only 1 or 2 years left on their deal. So I thought that was a fair deal for both sides. The Devils get their guy. I know the Sens were in on Markstrom, but I never really thought they were going to outbid the Devils. The Devils just have so many assets. Like they could have gone a number of different ways. I think they did pretty well, not giving up 9th overall and only giving up a bottom pair defenseman, even though he's a young, big defenseman with a lot of potential upside. But I think the Ottawa Senators are zeroing in on Ullmark. Like I think that's always been their top guy. They've talked about it at the trade deadline. They were probably closer than fans know. I think just the Bruins were like, hey, we got something good going here. We're going to wait. And maybe they didn't think that whatever was in return was going to help them in that year's playoffs. So that's why they held on. But it really seems like the Boston Bruins and the Ottawa Senators have something cooking as far as an Ullmark trade goes.
That's what I'm thinking as well. Linus Ullmark, 1 year left on his contract, $5 million. He's 30 years old. And my biggest question is, who did he reject the trade to? We thought it was LA for a long time.
Yeah.
But now we're hearing more recently. I wish I could give credit to whoever said this. Anyways, we don't know who he's turned down the trade to. So it could all be for naught if Ullmark doesn't want to go for the Sens, but it feels like there's too much smoke around it. He's only played in 40 games in back-to-back years. I'm sure that he sees the Ottawa Senators as a team that he could grab the reins and play 55, 60 games, which would
You
be
think he can beat out Korpisalo for a number one job?
I think he could. Yeah. Last year's Vezina winner. Now, playoff numbers aren't great, but let's get there before we worry about it, as the great Brandon Piller once said. Ullmark, to me, is going to be the guy. Now, other teams are obviously interested too, so you're going to have to outbid them. And that's where it's like, where did Markstrom affect it beyond that, where other teams are like, ooh, like maybe I was offering too much for Ullmark. Like, do you think there's that other side of it too, where it's not like, what do we have to do to get to what Markstrom went to? And I would say beyond, 4 years younger, more accomplished. I don't know what the proper value is, because goalie's value to me is always so strange. Darcy Kuemper could bounce back and make that trade look like gangbusters for the LA Kings, getting out from the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade. That one, the other one from yesterday, where it was a 1-for-1 trade, high salaries, underperforming guys. So a bit different. That would more be the circumstance if you're looking at Ottawa. How can they get out from Korpisalo? And some people are like, oh, damn, that trade comparison would probably be a Josh Norris type, who's signed for a lot of term and has been inconsistent, obviously different reasons. Pierre-Luc Dubois takes a shift or 10 off every once in a while Norris just hasn't been able to stay healthy. But the goalie market is moving, and now two teams that were heavily chasing netminders, LA and New Jersey, are out of the picture for competition.
Yeah, and that's good news, Ross. And I do think other teams are realizing that the Sens are serious about Ullmark, and maybe that's having them back off. Although I feel like almost any team could outbid the Sens if they wanted. Most teams have more assets and things like that. But Ross, I'll say this too. Look at the Chris Tanev situation. We know he rejected a trade to the Sens at the trade deadline, but that doesn't necessarily mean Ottawa's off his list. He made it clear that he was looking to go to a contender at the deadline and make a push for a cup. Smart move. Try to up your value, and obviously everybody wants to win. So maybe if it was Ullmark rejecting a trade to the Sens, it was him being like, I don't want to go there right now. I'm on a Boston Bruins team that is going to the playoffs. If I'm moving anywhere, it better be somewhere that also has playoff and Stanley Cup contending aspirations. So money talks. If the Ottawa Senators say, hey, look, we know maybe you don't have full faith in where this team is now, but we believe you're the piece that could solidify this. If we get good goaltending, we believe we have a core that can go far. And I feel like that's fair. Goaltending was the worst in the league last year. If you can improve on that with a Vezina winning goalie, that can make a big difference. And then they say, if you're still not convinced, here's a little more money on an extension. So I do believe it's possible. Bruce Garriock reported in his article that a league executive believes the Senators would likely have to offer. So believes and likely in there, just so we're aware, it's not a full, clear report, would likely have to offer defenseman Jakob Chychrun along with a first-round pick and another selection to acquire Ullmark. So
now, is this other selection like a fourth, a sixth, a seventh, or are we talking 39th? Because I feel very differently depending on the answer to that question.
Big time, big time. I feel like, Ross, the other selection would be to offload Forsberg. That would be the sweetener to have the Bruins take on Forsberg's contract as well. And I believe that would come with an extension. I mean, God, I hope so. You can't, the Senators cannot get in a situation where they push all their chips in for 1 year of one star player. Can't do it.
No, you simply can't. Now, Linus Ullmark, I think it's easy for people to point to Boston and how great a team they are. And, oh, he is a product of his environment. Look at the goalies around the league who aren't playing the lion's share of games, who have great numbers because they're on great teams. Anthony Stolar is a perfect example, albeit 20 games a little bit different than 40, where Ullmark's been the past 3 seasons. But if you go back, and this might be more indicative about the Ottawa Senators than Linus Ullmark, who played his first number of seasons in the league, 6 to be exact, with the Buffalo Sabres. He has never had a save percentage below .905. And outside of that, his worst season, He's never had a save percentage below .913, which was his rookie season in the league. The Ottawa Senators have only had 5 goaltenders since 2015, since Andrew Hammond's magical run. I use that threshold because that was Linus Ullmark's rookie season. 5 times has a goalie for the Senators who's played more than 20 games had a save percentage above Ullmark's worst. Now, if we're talking about the best save percentages since Ullmark entered the league, Craig Anderson in 2016-17 was at .926. Nobody else above .917. Linus Ullmark has a season at .938. And then beyond that, .917, .917, .917, .915, .913. He would be so much better than the best the Sens have had since Craig Anderson.
So much better.
And that's why you have to pay the price. So, yeah, this is a long-winded way of saying pony up. I'm more concerned that we don't see the name Shane Pinto in the trade. That's where I have a problem. That's where I draw the line. However, if the only players coming off of your roster are Chychrun and Forsberg, you can massage some picks into what I would be willing to give up, so long as it's not one of those exciting young players the Senators need, as well as a goalie, to have success next season.
Well, and then Ross, okay, let's fast forward through this and assume that is a trade that gets done. Now, how are you going to get out from Korpisalo's contract? Because especially if Ullmark comes with an extension, you cannot be paying Ullmark and Korpisalo over $10 million, especially when Korpisalo is going to be a 1B goalie at best. I would even say more of a backup goalie.
Okay, how about this? Instead of Forsberg in the trade with Ullmark, it's Korpisalo. You keep
Bruins
$1 million.
No,
Korpi at $3 million.
No, they don't want that. They've got
He's their backup. You'd have a backup for $3 million.
I think the Bruins are looking, hey, we had a tandem and we weren't able to solve it. We're going all in on Swayman, and we're going to find an Anthony Stolarz, a Scott Wedgwood. We're going to find a cheap backup just to be there when he needs it. I don't think they want to do the tandem, and I don't think anyone wants Korpisalo's term at this point. So
no.
I don't think it happens. I think you'd have to offload Korpisalo in a deal later on. Hopefully he rises his stock and then you can move him easier.
However, we were looking at a different player, team, organization that could look to trade with the Ottawa Senators. Next, we will discuss the loud noise, all the smoke around the Ottawa Senators and Philadelphia Flyers. But I do want to wrap up the segment saying we started with the Boston and Ullmark angle for a reason. More next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at GameTime. Look, it's summertime. There's lots of fun events happening. And if you want to get out, spend a night on the town, not just sports, you can get tickets for comedy, concerts, theater, and of course, sports through the GameTime app. It's the official online ticketing app of the Locked On Podcast Network. They got killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee. GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. I love knowing that whatever price they show me is what the final price is going to be. No messing around with extra fees. And then by the time you get to the checkout, it's double the price of what you thought you were paying. Not with GameTime. They don't do that. Views from your seat, so you know there's not a giant pole there or you can't see the back half of the game. Or you want the lowest price guarantee. GameTime does that. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. So check it out, GameTime. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Pillsy! So, yesterday, quite a day on social media. It was set ablaze early in the morning when blogger Travis Yost broke the Jacob Markstrom trade, and then only hours later, he said the Ottawa Senators and Philadelphia Flyers have agreed to the framework surrounding a potential trade, though this one may go closer to the draft. Travis Yost doubling down just 4 hours after poking his head into the insider game. Now, these two teams, no stranger in rumors with one another. This goes back at least a year, if not beyond, when a certain podcast kept saying, give us Claude Giroux. Well, it took the free agency, the scenic route down through Fort Lauderdale, but he came home. Now, what could the Senators be interested in for the Philadelphia Flyers, and why do you think a trade makes sense, Pillsy, between these two teams?
Well, we've heard lots of rumors that
I just had a deja vu. I feel like I've asked you that exact same question before around the trade deadline.
Yeah, probably. We've heard lots of rumors that they're interested in Matthew Joseph back in the day when the Sens were looking to dump Joseph for cap space to sign Pinto. Remember those days? Wow. Philly was rumored to be in on that. They've been rumored to be interested in Jacob Chychrun, although I believe it was Travis Yost that also tweeted it's not the defenseman you think.
No, that's just a Flyers fan.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, playing insider.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I just think they're a team that they saw how kind of close they could be last year. Like they were right in the mix up until the end where they had a brutal stretch end. I mean, they traded off a bunch of pieces at the trade deadline, so they kind of sealed their own fate there. But they have such good prospects. They're going to be wanting to get out of bad contracts or contracts that don't really fit them anymore. I'm looking at the Cam Atkinsons, the Ryan Johanssons. Only 1 year left on both of those deals for those veteran guys, but I don't think they really fit there anymore. And they're probably looking to get a veteran goalie, as they have Ivan Fedotov and Samuel Ersson, both signed to 2-year deals. Fedotov 27, Ersson 24. So they're probably looking for a little bit more stability there rather than have two young guys carry the torch here. I just think this is a team. They have some contracts they want to dump. The Sens have contracts they want to dump. The Flyers have some good players that maybe they don't think stick around long term, or they see as valuable assets to dump contracts. And the Sens have some valuable players that maybe they don't see as a part of their future and some contracts that they want to dump as well. So like this team could do like, here, give me your garbage and I'll take your garbage, but I'll give you a shiny toy of mine for a shiny toy of yours. And they can do the garbage and shiny toy trade-offs. It's like a garage sale, Ross. You're like, oh, this has been sitting in my garage for years. I'm trying to get rid of this. But I do have something actually nice here that I do want to keep. But if you take the crap from my garage sale, I'll take the crap from yours as long as you add something nice to it too. So like they could either pull off a couple weird trades or like a blockbuster, like kind of like the Dion Phaneuf trade that happened.
9 players.
Yeah, like where it's just wild.
All these contracts moving around.
Yeah. We're going to want cap friendly if that type of trade happens.
All I'm going to say is that, actually, I'll ask it as a question. Pillsy, who was John Tortorella's goalie in his previous job?
Eunice Corpusalo.
Oh, right. With the Columbus Blue Jackets. Interesting. Would you bite the bullet on a 1 year, $5 million, basically? You would get 2 veterans. Ryan Johansson and Cam Atkinson, both with 1 year left. Atkinson just under $6 million. Johansson at 4.
Yep.
For getting 4 years of Korpisalo at $4 million off the books.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like that. Like that's one of those things where,
because I think the framework around that could work. And then maybe Ottawa throws in an Eric Brandstrom, who I don't think they're going to qualify anyways. Right. I think Joseph might have a little bit more value than that. But I think Brandstrom would be a decent option for a team like Philly.
Yeah. I mean, Ross, I'm willing to do more than is probably fair to get rid of that Korpisalo contract.
I know it's tough.
But the thing is, Ross, I'm so much more inclined to take on bad contracts with short term, because the Sens, if they do that, Atkinson and Johansson, then just pick one of them that you actually think can help your team, and then just buy out the other guy.
Right.
If
Now,
it is done in time.
look, we could have done this whole segment, been like, oh, what would it take to get Travis Konechny and, all the, like, Owen Tippett? And it's just like, no, I don't think
it's not a part of the discussion. But
no, I don't think Konechny really.
He
I
might be,
think
Ross,
that would
because
be.
the rumors are that he wants way too much money in an extension, and that could scare the Flyers off, which, I mean,
Whoa.
it would cause concern for the Sens as well. But
Just what we need, a guy coming in on the last year of his contract before he can pick his spot, and he wants a ton of money.
yeah, seriously, no, I get that. But Ross,
all that's missing is 1 year of RFA with a high qualifying offer. That's all it's missing.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many interesting pieces to a Flyers Sens trade, and I think Ryan Johansson is not going to play another game for John Tortorella. Those two publicly hate each other. Like, it was crazy that they even linked up. Now, I heard they try, or at least were approachable at squashing the beef, but I don't think either player wants that. So I think they're really looking to move on from Johansson, because he's not going to be a part there. And I mean, he's a depreciating asset. I think he only had like 25 points last year with the Colorado Avalanche.
Definitely. All they needed to do is spend a little time at the Glebe Central Pub together. They would have gotten on just fine, Torts and Ryan Johansson. But look, I'm not saying that Atkinson or Johansson would help the Ottawa Senators get better by their play. But if you're just looking at it financially and with contracts and term and what the future of the Senators will look like, I am curious if that is something that they explore. Maybe just one, maybe not both, maybe one. And we'll see what happens. But it's going to be interesting. If you had to handicap the race, though, I think the Ottawa Senators' number one trade partner is the Boston Bruins. Number one to me, the Boston Bruins. It is worth noting, though, when you're talking about the Philadelphia Flyers, they do have 2 first-round picks this year, and both are just slightly behind where the Senators are. Ottawa picks 7 and 25. Philly picks 12th, and either 31 or 32, they have Florida's pick from the Claude Giroux trade. So they'll be able to have a slightly later pick. So who knows? Maybe they leverage that, and maybe Ottawa moves up from 39 to 31 or down from 25 to 31. There's lots of options, even 7 to 12. We did an episode 2 weeks ago about trading down, and our thing was it can't be past 14. Not a math guy, Pillsy, but I think 12's on the right side of that for those two to negotiate a contract or a deal that would make us as fans think that the Senators would still leave the draft with a top prospect.
Yeah, I think that's definitely in play, Ross. Although we did
everything's in play.
Yeah, we did an unofficial segment before we started recording, and you and I kind of being like, okay,
we should really hit record like 15 minutes early.
Yeah, some of our pre-show stuff is better than our actual performances.
You wasted the good content on me.
Yeah, honestly, that did happen. But we were looking at it and being like, man, the tier might be like ahead of 14 more than we thought. Like the crop of like 3 players that probably falls to number 12 is very different than the guys that are available at 7. But that's the price you pay, and it might be the right
they're still
path.
Great players. The only thing is, if all 6 defensemen are gone in the first 12, you're like, whoa, you still get a good forward. Then you're looking at a Berkeley Catton or a Consta Helenius, still a good prospect.
Definitely.
But it would be a kick in the teeth if all 6 defensemen in that top tier.
But then, Ross, if the Senators still have their 25th, if you roll it around, there's some good defensemen available there too. So,
okay, the tweet that shook up the internet this morning, not really, but I meant to reply just as a joke. I wanted to reply to Monday's guest. That's how we will refer to this journalist, capital J journalist. I just wanted to reply to him and say, go Sens, go. Well, it turns out that I just sent it as a tweet, and I forgot. This time of year, a lot of people take the little breadcrumbs and they make a sandwich out of them.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, and I followed up suit. I thought, you know what? If Ross is in a hashtag Go Sens Go mood, so am I. So it's a hashtag Go Sens Go type of day.
It's a week to the day that we're going to be on our way to Vegas. It does feel very Go Sens Go.
I agree. I concur.
So Go Sens Go.
Yeah.
On the other side, it would be very Go Sens Go if Artyom Levshunov fell to number 7. I will be referred to as Ross Levshunov on Twitter for the rest of the summer if he falls to 7. Is that realistic? Who is Artyom Levshunov? And also, should have mentioned this earlier, please leave a comment below. Who are you interested in on the Philadelphia Flyers? Nick Spence runs to the comments. Oliver Bonk, we know. It would be cool. But who realistically could the Ottawa Senators target on Philadelphia? And what is your top offer for Linus Ullmark of the Boston Bruins? Do you even want him? As I've got a comment here on Twitter, Pillsy, I'll run this through you right now. How can you judge Ullmark? Is Ullmark really an upgrade? How can you judge a goalie playing in Boston's system? I would think Boston could win with Corpy in net too. That comes from Med Nick. What would you say to him or people who have that thought process that he's a goalie on a great team?
That's a fair thought process. But if we were talking about Korpisalo being average goalie, middle of the pack, something like that, I would hear that discussion. We're talking about literally a Vezina winning trophy, which is the award for the best goalie of the year.
Pilsy, guess how many goalies in the Sens' 31-year history have won the Vezina? 0.
So literally a goalie that has won best goalie of the year versus a goalie that was statistically the worst goalie. So come on.
Hey, it'd be a fun science experiment. We should try it.
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah.
But
I do get it. Like Corpy could be a lot better in Boston for sure, but he is not. He's yeah. No. Let's move on.
More trade rumors tomorrow, as I'm sure the internet, which never stops, won't stop with the draft a week away. Could Artyom Levshunov go 2nd overall? We'll discuss that more. You're Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Ultimate Hockey GM. Ross, I don't think there's a better timed ad read for this episode than Ultimate Hockey GM. Every Sens fan on Twitter thinks they could do a better job than Steve Staios. Well, you've got a chance to do that with the mobile game Ultimate Hockey GM. Have you ever dreamed of being an NHL GM and managing your hockey franchise? Do you think you could run the Ottawa Senators better than steady Stevie Staios? Well, your dream can come true, and this game is most definitely for all you Sens fans. Manage every strategic aspect of your team, play through the season, and lead your team to glory. You got to hire the right coaches. Travis Green, good call. Trade players or draft picks. 7th overall, Jacob Chychrun in the mix. Navigate through free agency. Don't sign goalies to long-term free agent deals would be my advice. And, of course, the draft. Listen to Locked On Sens for all your draft prospect needs. As a Sens fan, you know there's no offseason. GMs are constantly making moves at every point of the year to improve their team. And that's why I think you're going to love this game. Ultimate Hockey GM is completely free, playable offline. You can play on the go as you want and when you want to. By the way, Locked On Network listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when you use promo code Locked On NHL in the game store. So make sure to check it out, guys. Download the game, hockeygm.app, or look it up in the app stores. Ultimate Hockey GM. Start your dynasty today.
A reminder, you can follow the show on social media. We're at Sens Central on Twitter, LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. We are running up to the 8K mark. The road to 10,000 continues. We appreciate you being a citizen. And Pilsy, we got to get back to Sens Central citizens this summer. I need some hot takes coming off the press all around the Senators world, because there's some antsy fans here that really want to see what Steve Staios is going to do to shape the team. And so do we here at LOSP. Pillsy, breaking news out of it must be this Gold Star camp, because it's a bunch of general managers talking. I'd imagine that's where they are. That's where all the Russian and Belarusian players who are Gold Star clients with Dan Milstein are putting on a pre-scouting combine. That includes Ivan Demidov, who is over 6 feet tall. His agent was sure to post that after reports were going around that he was 5'10". He's over 6 feet, which I guess is going to make a big difference. It was great post yesterday. We'll get to Levshunov. It was Levshunov and Demidov beside each other, and Levshunov looks substantially taller. Levshunov was just under 6'1", and the meme was when a guy says he's 6 feet, and it was the guy just below, and when a guy tells a girl he's 6 feet.
Yeah.
So tough one there for Demidov, but he's such a talent. We'll get to him tomorrow. So many trade rumors. We just wanted to go with one with Levshunov. But the real breaking news, Bills, is that teams are looking to either trade up, stay pat, or trade back ahead of the draft. Wow.
Yeah, those are the three options.
I know. That's what people are tweeting out now. It's like, wow, Columbus is open to trading the pick at 4. They're either going to trade it or they're going to keep it. I love it, man. It's that time of year. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Hey, we respect the hockey calendar here, and I do think it's a bit of a shame that the Stanley Cup Finals are still going on.
Yeah, so annoying. Like, let the losers have our spotlight now.
I know, but it should end by like June 10th. Like, the same week of the draft, if it does go to a Game 7.
Yeah, like GMs, like this has got to be an absolute nightmare here. Like the cup doesn't end till late. Then you got the draft. Then you got free agency. Like this 2-week span is going to be nuts for teams getting organized.
All right, coming in at number 3 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings from the Michigan State Spartans, it's Artyom Levshunov.
Ross, I think this is the most interesting prospect in the draft. You have such different reports, more consistently on the upside of Levshunov, but there's a lot of detractors. Hockey Prospects, one of them, they have Levshunov down at 10. And a lot of people looking at inconsistency from this player, but he has all the tools. Artyom Levshunov, a right shot defenseman. I've got him closer to 6'2", but I guess just measured around 6'1". What do we have him at weight?
Just under 6'1". He's 6 feet and 3/4 of an inch here. So hey, that's what these
Let's
guys
round up for Artyom here. We'll say 6'1".
Okay, we still have him actually here. I've got the combined weights. He's 6'1.75", 205 pounds.
Okay, so yeah, right side of 6 feet, right side of 200 pounds. So that's what you want to see.
He'll be listed in the NHL at 6'2".
Okay, good. He played for the Michigan State Spartans in 38 games. He had 9 goals, 26 assists, good for 35 points, plus 27. This is a right shot defenseman, Ross, that is very well-rounded when you look at all the tools that he has as a prospect. EP awarded him second best highest floor and second best transitional defenseman, third best offensive defenseman, and fifth best highest ceiling. And their ratings for him are very similar to Sam Dickinson, where it's pretty consistent all around. They got him at a 6.5 skating, a 6 for shooting, passing, puck handling, and hockey sense, and a 7.5 for physical. So you're getting a complete package with an elevated physical game. And I think if you're looking for a right shot defenseman, that's music to a lot of teams' ears.
Not only that, but he's more mature in the fact that he's an early birthday October, one of the oldest players in the draft, and he's already played his freshman season in the NCAA. He's a guy I think could compete if he does decide to go that route with an NHL roster spot in the fall. Now, he would have to make the decision to come out of school. There's no turning back. If he does end up signing a contract, he would either be NHL or AHL, but I think there's a real world where he takes the fast track to the National Hockey League. He's number 2 on Corey Pronman and Chris Peters' board. He's at number 3 for Scott Wheeler, 4 for elite prospects. Now, Bob McKenzie's going to be putting out his final rankings next Monday. Right now, though, he's at 4th as of the post-lottery. However, he did, interestingly, have Anton Silyev at number 3. So despite being at number 4, Bob McKenzie had him as the second defenseman on his rankings. And then McKean's has Levshunov down at 6. Craig Button, the lowest on him, at 8th. But again, Craig is projecting 5-6 years down the road, which, I mean, some teams should at this juncture. But look, the points stand out when you watch him play. I was going to say, like, it doesn't always look mature. There is, I think, a lot of development that needs to happen for him to reach his potential, which is a top pairing defenseman. He could be a minute-eating, positive impact player for years to come. You just throw him on your right side and you know that you'll be able to have consistency. But I think to get there, he's going to have a bit more coaching. And that's, again, just with years of experience. I feel like he gets a bit lost out there sometimes in coverage.
Yeah, he's definitely a bit of a rover. I feel like that's fair. For me, Ross, I would say that Levshunov is certainly the example of a guy you draft for what he could become, not what he is now. I think, in my opinion, let him go back to Michigan State. It's a great program there. Nothing wrong with that. And then, Ross, I don't even think it's that crazy to have him play a season in the AHL just to be able to learn how to play up against men. Not that he couldn't handle the NHL earlier. I just think, why rush this guy and break his confidence, build it up, and then I think in 3 to 5 years, you're going to have an elite top pairing defenseman, because there's so many abilities here. Like, he's so confident carrying the puck up the ice. He's very active in the O zone, Ross. That's where I kind of talk about him being the rover, kind of like Jamie Drysdale, right? Like, he's not a guy that's just going to stay in that little circle zone in the right-hand side of the offensive zone at the blue line. He's moving around, and he's a big stick in the air, like waving around, like, I'm open, kind of like
little Travis Hamonic.
Yeah, you knew that's where I was going. So he does do that. He wants the puck. His teammates know he wants the puck. He's got a nice wrister from the point, Ross. You know I love that. But where I like his offensive game is inside the offensive zone, like I mentioned, because he's constantly moving. I see this guy as being a quarterback for a PP1 unit. I think he's that talented. And he's a guy that likes to use his skating to be activated off the rush. Like, he'll make a pass to start a breakout, and then he's already chugging along, and his teammate knows to give it back to him. He can carry the puck into the zone and then rip a clean wrister past a goalie there. And he's done that a couple times in this season. So there's really, offensively, I do see the potential here. And like I mentioned, EP awarded him 3rd best offensive defenseman in the draft. So certainly they see it as well. So when he's on his game offensively, Ross, he really pops.
Oh, he definitely pops. Like, I think if he hits his absolute peak, we're looking at like a Drew Doughty type. Like, I do think he has that potential to be a minute munching defenseman that you're always in the not always in the offensive zone, but you always have a leg up in the terms of the quality of competition when he's on the ice. It's funny that you say that, and the more I think back to our conversation with Scott Wheeler when we talked to him about Levshunov, and he made a very good point. Artyom Levshunov has played in 3 different leagues in the last 3 seasons. I think there's definitely some merit for him to go back, even just to take a deep breath and say, look, I'm at least knowing that my development is going to be in the same spot for 24 months, because he's been moving around. He played on Team Belarus 2 years ago, then was with the Green Bay Gamblers last season, and then, of course, with the Spartans this past year. So I'm warming up to that idea. I think it's going to also depend a bit with who drafts him. I think that if you're in Chicago and an Anaheim, you can really afford to be patient, even Columbus. So it's just if he falls, really, that the question starts coming up that, like, Ottawa would want him probably to turn pro. Is that the best long-term thing? Maybe, maybe not. But I think whether it was in Belleville or Ottawa, they'd probably want more control over his development right under their nose. I could be way out to lunch on that one. I just think there is that aspect where you have this shiny new toy. You're really excited to work with it because there are so many tools that could make Levshunov a top pair defenseman, but he's not there yet. There are maybe too many brain cramps at times as well, giving up pucks in bad situations. And I didn't really see it, but the people who have him lower say that sometimes the compete isn't always at 100%. I would probably look at that, and I'd want to dive into a little bit deeper about, okay, is he playing 30 minutes a game, and is it just 2 shifts that you're noticing that, or is it a pattern at start of games, or what? I don't have the answer to that, but I know that natural ability, he's right up there. And when you add the physical traits, then you're starting to think, okay, that might be the separator between him and a Zane Parekh, Zeev Buium, Sam Dickinson, Anton Silayev, that he has the size, not quite of the Silayevs of the world, but he has such a wide range of tools at his disposal. I think scouts are going to fall in love with him. It's going to be so interesting to me whether or not he goes second overall to Chicago. They have a real hard decision to make, because you can also see Demidov and Bedard for years to come. And the thought of Bedard having 3 years experience before Demidov potentially comes over to play with him, and then he's got a 3-year entry level, like that might be too much to pass up. But then if you draft Levshunov at number 2, you could have solidified that entire decor with Korchinski, Vlasic, and then maybe you haven't solidified. Maybe you need one more piece, and maybe they get that in the Seth Jones trade down the road. But I like Levshunov a lot. I've been going back and forth, but Pilsy, I do think Zeev Buium is my number 1 defenseman in this draft class. Levshunov will likely be number 5 on my final list.
5th defenseman or 5th overall?
No, 5th overall, second defenseman. Thank you for allowing me to clarify. I wouldn't want that one to get twisted up.
Yeah. I can't see a world where Chicago doesn't draft this guy. I was reading an EP article where they were saying Chicago's taken him out to multiple dinners. They've been talking with him. Even at the Combine, Levshunov mentioned he's been talking a lot with Chicago. I think it makes a lot of sense there. But to talk about some of the negative aspects that you touched on a little bit there, Will Scouch was showing in his video examples of just how easily he gets beat defensively. And then when that happens, he kind of just gets pissed off and starts slashing and cross-checking, kind of like, oh man, you made me look silly there. I'm going to make you pay for it physically, which isn't always the best approach.
Kind of a Yakemchuk quality too.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, he definitely, Levshunov has a mean side to him for sure. And he definitely makes questionable passes that are turned over more often than not when leaving the zone, where it's like, he's got his head down and he just does like a backhand shovel and it's a pizza up the middle. And you're like, what are you doing there? Like, come on. So definitely that happens. The hockey sense, you're a little unsure of it. And he's inconsistent. Like EP scouting reports, Ross, I don't know if you read through them, but one person one night will be like, this guy's the best defenseman. And then the same person 2 nights before or whatever is like, I was so frustrated watching Levshunov. So the inconsistencies he's going to have to figure out, but a skill that he does really well, and Pierre Dorian would love this, boxing out in front. He makes those forwards' life a living hell, just trying to stand there and get their stick on the ice. He's lifting sticks. He's cross-checking in the back. He's getting a shoulder under guys and moving guys over. Like, he boxes out very, very well. And he does do a good job. David St. Louis kind of showed it, of angling guys with his skating and with his size. Like, not even being physical, just cutting off angles for them to create space, and then they get kind of pigeonholed in a corner or off to the side or wide rather than going through the middle. So there's a lot of things here that there's ups and downs to Levshunov, but Ross, I see the dream. I see the potential. I see in 3 to 5 years, in my mind, this guy's going to be a top pair right shot defenseman.
Is he the best defenseman in this draft class?
In my opinion, no. So Ross, you mentioned your rankings there. I'm going to go to mine to double check it, but so I have Zane Parekh as the top defenseman, then Levshunov, then Buium. So ours are kind of split there.
Then we each have Sam Dickinson as the next guy.
Yes. Exactly. Having said that, though, Ross, Levshunov is a 5-star guy for me. This is the type of player the Ottawa Senators have coveted for a long time. It's hard to find a guy like this. Sure, you're going to have to wait, and I do believe another season in college and maybe an AHL season will be necessary. But when he reaches his peak, I think he's going to plateau at a peak, and he's going to be a consistent top pairing power play guy that's going to get better defensively, and his hockey sense is going to improve. So I don't think it's possible, Ross, that he slides to the Sens at 7. But if he did, I would take the chance on him, even though it's going to take some time.
If he fell to ? You would consider trading up for Artyom Levshunov?
No trade ups. Nope. I'm not trading up for anybody, Ross.
Artyom Levshunov comes in at number 3 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings with an average of 4.1. You can find all of our draft profiles online on YouTube, where we will also have our full first-round mock draft with lots of special guests that will drop Saturday, June 22nd at 10 a.m. All right, Pillsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Do we think the Stanley Cup gets awarded tonight? We kind of glossed over that.
No. You know why?
They don't play tonight.
They don't play.
No, they play tonight. Okay, I was like, am I that?
No, they don't.
Oh.
They don't play tonight. But I let you say it because a lot of people are thinking it. It's ridiculous how many days off they've had in this series.
Damn, that's hilarious. I really thought they played tonight. Okay, well, you're right, Ross.
It's 2 days off after every single game past game 4.
That's how disconnected I am from the finals and focused I am on the draft. I don't even know what nights the games are on.
And trades. This is the season to go wacko online. It's so much fun to just stick your nose into a fan base and say, well, you want to trade with us? We're just going to take your best player. But we're going to give you like a middle prospect and a second round pick back. Cool? And a bad contract. Okay? And you're going to like it.
Yeah, you're going to like that.
It's the best. I love mock trade season. I know that everyone
the best and the worst. Like I love
really
it,
is.
But also I hate it.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome to have our ear to the streets in Vegas. Really looking forward to being at Sphere for the draft on night 1 and day 2 as well. And we'll have episodes right after. It's a work trip. Damn it. We'll be heading right back to the hotel to record our immediate reaction after the first round. So make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. I mentioned the road to 8,000. Be great to hit that at the draft. So steal your partner's phone, steal your coworker's phone, family members, and subscribe for free on YouTube and wherever you get podcasts. For today, we say goodbye. Thanks so much for watching, listening, engaging with the show. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.